Christians and Muslims unite in forcing kids into anti LGBT protest. In Ottawa, Canada, an unexpected coalition between Muslims and conservative Christian groups manifested in a protest against a directive by the Ottawa-Carleton District School Board that supported the use of they them pronouns for all students until they express their preference. A video of the Muslim and conservative Christians was shared online where Muslim women and other demonstrators encouraged young children to stomp on pride flags strewn on the ground. As the kids danced on the flags, an older white man was seen holding a large Canadian flag, leaning down to shake a kid's hand in solidarity and saying, "Right on, boys," while chants like "Leave our kids alone" were heard in the background. A counter and protest ensued in support of LGBT rights. Emily Quail, an organizer and a parent, expressed her resolve against the anti-LGBT demonstrations, stating, quote, "We will not let them spread their transphobic fascist ideology anywhere, here or anywhere else. And that starts with community strength. And that's what I'm really proud to see today." The school board and community members condemned the protest, emphasizing the concern over demonstrations targeting children. So I want to provide a little bit of context before we dig into this, and we can watch the video, right? So I want to provide a little bit of context and then we can watch the video. So based on what I have read before, because I saw this clip go viral, and then I saw a few news sites write up what happened, right? And according to our main source that we used for this news, it's called LGBTQ Nation, something like that. They said that these religious people protesting was started because there was some sort of directive from the school board in Ottawa-Carleton District that said that teachers and administrators should use they them pronouns for all students until the students express their preferred pronoun. But I read that and I was like, that's absurd. Is that real? Is that real? That the school board really said we're going we're informing teachers that they should only use gender neutral pronouns for children until they explicitly tell us otherwise? That is hard for me to believe. So I went to go do some more research specifically looking on, is that directive true? And I was only able to find that reaffirmed in a source that I do not trust and also affirmed in a different article from the same organization that we got our original source from. So I still feel a little bit of skepticism about if this thing about the school board saying that you should use they them pronouns for all students until they express their preference is actually true. That being said though, outside of being informed otherwise, I have to go forward and believing that this is what kicked off that original protest. It's so hard to know with this kind of stuff because of how like toxic the culture war has gotten surrounding these issues. But I just wanted to provide that extra context that according to the sources that I have available to me, that is what kicked this off. Um, so now that I've explained that and clarified that a little bit, let's watch the video of these
Mm.
kids stomping on these flags, and
Be-
then we can get into it.
Yeah, before we do that though, let's just condemn the main thing that is the problem here. Like whatever they did, this is disgusting, obviously.
Mhm.
The stomping on gay this is like especially the mother leading them on.
Well,
This
let's
is
for people
disgusting.
who haven't seen it, let's watch it first, and then
Okay, okay.
let's talk about it.
Let me watch it on Twitter.
Are you sure? Because Twitter always makes it 10 times slower.
Oh, I wanna just watch this with in full like that.
Okay. Yeah, so for anyone who's listening, you see a bunch of people, like, there's a sign that says "Save Canada," there's a bunch of LGBT protesters on either side of the
Oh
street.
wow. Look at this is the handshake. These are Muslim kids, and this is like I'm assuming a non-Muslim Christian
Yeah.
conservative. Yeah.
like giving that
and
kid a
then
high five.
like
They
this is
somehow
the union between this is basically the union between the conservative, the right-leaning Christians and the Muslims and the
Mhm.
right-leaning Muslims.
And there's a boy, he looks like he's maybe about 9 years old holding a sign. I can't see what it says, and there's a bunch of, like, a garland of pride flags, pride flags on the ground that the kid is stomping
Yeah.
on while his mother encourages him.
There was another video that I've seen of, I don't know if you want to show that one. Was there another video? Because I saw another video from another angle, the mother like cheering them on when they were stomping. You sent that to me a couple of days ago, actually.
Oh, yeah, I
Uh,
mean, if I go back through our chat history, I can find that. But yeah, she's the camera, like, gets in her face and she's, like, explicitly cheering her kids on. I can't remember what she says. Um, but Armin, okay, like, what do you make of this? Because this whole LGBT, um, culture war has been, like, really coming to a head lately, I think because it's Pride Month. And this is kind of a culmination of some rhetoric that we've been seeing for a few years now, particularly regarding like accusations of grooming and things like that. So what is your impression?
okay, I'm gonna play this in the background while we let let me put this on mute. Um okay, so so I have a little bit of a nuanced, I think, view about this that is hard. I want people to just, I mean, I shouldn't claim that it's nuanced myself. You guys decide whether or not. I think a lot of people are simplifying this too much, whether depending on which side they're on, right? And I just want bear with me a little bit. I think um, we are being played with. You know, both the people who are on the uh, LGBT side and also the people who are on the conservative Christian and the conservative Muslim side, they're playing well, not the LGBT side, the people, the wokey, going the extra mile, progressive side that is using this whole LGBT rights issue as a tool for a different purpose rather than you know gay rights and trans rights, right?
They're
So
utilizing it to be totalitarian.
well, not totalitarian, to get reactions,
Hmm.
get reactions from the other side, right? And here's what I mean. Okay, there are sensible positions to take from both sides if they choose to, right? From the pro LGBT rights, for LGBT rights campaign, it completely makes sense to me to say that it should be mandatory for kids in school to learn that LGBT is a thing, that it
Mhm.
exists, and that you should tolerate that, and that it's okay.
At what age
Okay,
do you think?
and I personally, if I had to guess, I would say as young as they could freed, but I would appeal to a child psychologist because I think like but by that I don't mean like tell them that gay people have sex, right? I'm telling you that if you have stories, if as young as children are introduced to princes and princesses on going on an adventure or whatever, if you're old enough to learn that, then you're old enough to learn two princesses are falling in love or two princes are falling in love. If you're old enough to learn that here's a family and here are the children and this is the father and this is the mother, then you're old enough to learn here are two fathers and children. Okay? If you're not too young for one of them, then you're not too young for the other one either. I think that's I think that is completely reasonable. And I think that will increase tolerance, that will increase acceptance, and more importantly, maybe even that will reduce shame
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
disgust of oneself, right? So we want the straight and cis kids to learn that this is a thing, that it's okay, and to make them tolerate this. And we want the trans and the gay kids to grow up not being disgusted of themselves.
Mhm.
So introducing that in school is completely not just okay, making it mandatory is also okay. This is not something that the parent should be able to decide that my kid doesn't learn in the same way that math and science is mandatory for children to learn. I think it's okay for governments to say it's mandatory for children to learn that gay people are a thing, that trans people are a thing, and this is how it is. And if you're a parent, don't want that, you could go fuck yourself. In this country, your kid has to learn that. I think that's completely reasonable, right? It's also reasonable, I think, from the other side. It's not reasonable, but when it comes to rights, it's reasonable to expect that, okay, beyond that, you don't get to tell my kids anything, you know? And
Mhm.
also, I'm going to teach them something else at home.
Mhm.
Okay. I don't like that, but when it
They have
comes
the
to
right to do
rights,
that. They have the right
they
to
have
do
the
that.
right to do that. They have the right to do that. Okay. It's not reasonable, and I think this is when the other side, both sides are playing games rather than promoting LGBT rights or protecting the children. They claim that they're doing this, but they're fighting because they're fighting and they feel relevant, especially when they're in activism and they're content producers. Then this fight, like feeling this fire, is benefits them, right? And they're using the excuse of protecting children, or from the conservative side, from the Muslim and Christian conservative side, and the LGBT rights from the progressive side, as an excuse. They're sacrificing the children or LGBT rights from the other side for their own cause, for the sake of agitating. And how do they agitate? Well, we saw, just this is how one side agitates,
Mhm.
right? This is not, I have my values and I teach my kids my own values at home, right?
Exactly. This is
This
an
is
active denigration.
exactly. This is bigotry. Okay? This is homophobic. That's what this is, right? And the other side, okay? It's one thing to say in school kids have to learn that being gay is okay. Being trans is okay. That's one thing. It's another thing to say kids need to watch a trans person come and teach them how to twerk.
Oh, Armin is talking about a video I sent him of a drag queen. I don't think that person was trans. It was just a drag queen who was legitimately
It doesn't
teaching kids
matter.
how to
A
twerk
gay
where you
person,
can hear
like
babies
whatever,
in the audience. That really happened.
whatever, anything that is related to that community. That is a disservice to the LGBT community, because you are on purpose, I think on purpose, are trying to get a bigoted reaction from the conservative side. You are because you know their line is protect the children, their bullshit line is protect the children. You are trying to cross whatever red line you can, so you get a reaction out of them because you want them to fight you and they want you to fight back. I know, I'm almost sure that these conservative Muslim content creators or Christian content creators, they want the most bizarre things to come out of the progressive side. They are
Yes, they go look for
th-
it.
they are waiting for you to do something crazy. And I know from the progressive side, they want these conservative Christians, especially the Christians. The Muslims are still confused about, okay? They want the conservative Christians to bite the bait and go after them. Because this is not about increasing well-being in society, protecting children, or promoting LGBT rights. This is about, I be relevant as a fighter because there's an enemy on the other side. So you want your enemy to become more aggressive so that it could justify your aggression towards them. So, from the progressive side, instead of teaching children the things that they need to learn about being accepting of LGBT or being accepting of themselves because they are LGBT, you go and do find the craziest, most ridiculous things that you could probably do to get the bigots triggered. And you know that you're making the bigots more relevant. You're giving them a bigger platform. You're amplifying their voices. So you, on the progressive side, you are actively working with the enemies of LGBT. You are actively promoting the homophobes and transphobes for your own sake, not for LGBT. Does that make sense?
Mhm. I think you articulated that really well. I think as someone who's part of the LGBT community, it's difficult for me because, like, if this was a real directive that teachers are supposed to refer to students with they them pronouns until students specify otherwise, I think that is absurd. And if I was a parent, I would have a problem with that. I have a problem when someone speaks to me automatically using they them pronouns. That bothers me. I don't like that until I specify otherwise. I don't like it. So if I was a parent, I would have a problem with this, right? But what outlet do I have? Because I'm still an LGBT person and I would never align myself with anyone on this other side because they don't. Here's the thing. This is where it gets really complicated for me as an individual. And I'm just going to speak for myself and my own opinions. I'm not representing Atheist Republic or anyone else in our community. I want to be clear. Is that there's stuff that in every community is this way. Every community is this way where there are things that the community will do that you don't approve of, that you maybe think is either cringe or doing too much or that you actively disagree with on a strong level, right? There's levels. And it's difficult to find a space where you can express that in a genuine good faith way and not have it be utilized by people who are trying to take everything from you. Because this is where I get like, I was talking to someone about this yesterday. I can get frustrated with some of the things in my own community, right? But then when I look at what is being promoted and pushed by the other side, instantly realize that they will never stop at saying that this is just about the kids, right? This is like the trick that Islamists play, where they're like, "Oh, you just have to respect us, and then if you keep it within this bounds, then we'll leave you alone." But it's not gonna be about that. It's always going to creep farther, and they're going to demand more, and they're going to demand that you bend the knee to them more, right? This is where I think about it too much, and I like my gender studies Susie jumps out, and I go full queer liberationist. 'Cause I get so quickly fired up when I realize that, like, assimilation to some degree will never be the answer because there will people like this will never allow us to assimilate to a certain degree. They're always going to demand that we carve ourselves to fit into heteronormative society more. But there is some stuff that I genuinely disagree with and I don't think is okay and I don't tolerate. And so I think all of us in our own different groups, our own different identities can come across these difficult spaces where it's like, how do I express my disagreement with something and not have it be utilized against my group as a whole and not have something that I think is maybe cringe used as an excuse to take everything from something that's cringe, because I see the LGBT community, like, doing stuff that I'm like, "I'm not cool with that." But what level does it reach, right? If it's just a little bit cringe, I'm not really gonna say too much about it because I'm not gonna it's not worth the fuel that will be put on the fire against me, right? But there are some levels where I'm like, "I straight up can't tolerate this." But then when we're part of these minority communities, it's really difficult to be able to, one, articulate that and not be demonized by your own community, and to not have your good faith opinions used against everyone else. I hope I articulated myself well.
Yeah, and a lot of people are agreeing with you in the live chat, which I can't highlight because StreamYard is not working,
I
and
know.
I will get back to some of them. But no, and it's hard because you want to have some. There are a lot of things that are, the LGBT has done, the rights movement has done, which has been so beneficial. And then there are some certain things that we think it's not helpful, but you don't know if you highlight those, are you going to be helping the conservative Christians or the conservative Muslims? You don't want to be aiding that, okay? Because they're bigoted people. So how do you come and participate in this discussion without being part of the problem yourself? How do you come out like, hey, we think this you have gone too far here, right? I mean, this example right here, for example, you mentioned the situation here has been they want everybody. I mean, it doesn't seem that big of a deal, but then you ask. I mean, they can characterize it. They can express it as if it's not a big deal. Like, hey, we're just calling everybody they them. What's the big deal, right?
No.
But it's not. It is a big deal because it's you already we've already gotten to a point where everybody's happy and you have understanding, right? Like this is not what trans people are asking for.
No.
Okay. Somebody tells you their pronoun and you won't be an asshole and you just use the pronouns, okay?
Why does it have to go
And
so
if
far that we're picking your own pronouns for you?
yeah,
Even when I
but
thought I was
I know
trans for like a year, that would piss me off.
right, no, but here's the thing. And if you make a mistake, like let's say for example, okay, let's say my pronouns are she her, okay?
Mhm.
And you make a mistake, okay? They expect and you say he him. You use he him, okay? Then the expectation is like I correct you and you're like, "Oh, sorry." And then you use it. That was good enough. That was simple. It's people who complain about that, they're the bigots because that is not too much to ask. If people are like, "Oh my god, I'm so confused. You look like a he, but you're saying it's a she." It's so easy. You s- you tell the people that it's she her, and they say sorry. I will use the correct one from now on. That is not too much to ask, and that makes the vast majority of trans people are happy with that. They're satisfied with that. But I know why they want more because it should be hard because not the trans people. Most trans people are happy with this. But the agitators on the progressive side, okay, they don't want it to be easy because they want to make it difficult so that people complain,
Mm. So
so
that
that they could point to bigotry. Do you understand? But then the problem is that the actual bigots are now have the power to show that the entire movement is like this. Even though most trans people are not asking for that
no,
because of this idiot, some of these idiot progressives, the bigots are now look at what trans people are doing. Look at what
and then
LGBT
moderates are
community is
like,
about.
"Yeah, this is insane."
Yeah, yeah, look at this. And this is
Is what
not
we get as a result.
this yet this is not okay against those specific progressive people who are asking for too much. This is now against all LGBT.
Yeah. Yep.
This is what you get as a result.
Yeah. Oh my god. I don't know. I
This
think
is how progressives
mm,
are fueling. This is how progressives are helping the bigots. Some of them. Some of them.
yeah, some of
Do
them,
you want to?
let's be clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we watch this video? It's only 38 seconds long.
Yeah, I wanna hear what she says. I can't remember.
Yeah.
All right, we're here currently at the protest. We got a bunch of young kids here with their Arab parents, and they are stomping the pride flag here at the protest. The Arab community is sending a message, I believe, to the woke that they are not accepting of this, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Yes. Any message you'd like to send today? To just leave your kids alone. Why is that? Yes. Leave the kids alone, she says, ladies and gentlemen. Leave the kids alone. All right.
This is conservative Christians and Muslims finding unity in hate. Okay. And yeah, it's sad. It's sad. But I do. Yeah, there were some super chats and some comments I wanted to read, which is hard now. But
Yeah.
I would.
The last thing I just wanted to say was, like, I think this is important to cover because this is kind of coming to a boiling point, like, across different parts of the world. And um I think it's important to talk about very sensitively, but also very, like, honestly. Um and I just want to make it clear that me, Armin, us as an organization are always going to stand with the LGBT community. Like, this is all we find this kind of stuff and kids doing this, like, completely intolerable and unacceptable. Um, and yeah. So, but it's a difficult conversation that needs to be had. And I hope that people will take what Armin and I said in the spirit in which it was intended. Um, so that being said, yeah, we got a super chat from Newman.
But before we do
Oh.
that, I just saw D had these comments highlighted, and I wanted to read those. So this person is responding to this video of stomping LGBT flags. Stephen Hill is saying, Inshallah. Stephen Hill from Canada is saying, Inshallah, my brothers and sisters, the children of Abraham protect our children from Satan. We
Oh.
live in weird times, Susanna. We live in weird times.